about animal testing in skincare and cosmetics. And I told myself I'm never going to use these things. So I don't use. I'm 44 years old. I don't use any of these things. That's my small contribution, not to contribute to the area of animal testing. So if you want to use, please go for the products that say no animal testing. There are such products, health supplements or cosmetics. And there are also animals that are exploited in the name of sport or for our amusement. For example, the circus. Circus animals don't belong in a circus. They belong in the wild. They should be left in the jungle. We have no business capturing them, putting them in cages, carting them from country to country, tranquilizing them, and making them perform stunts which are not natural to them. Okay? Even zoos. No matter how natural they make the zoo to be, it is still not natural. We have no right, for example, to take the panda away from China, Sichuan Valley, its natural habitat, and bring it to the hot climate of Malaysia. And then we create an aircon enclosure for it. It suffers, it's miserable. We have no right to do that. And what happens to race horses after they have run hundreds of races for their owner and help the owners make tons of money? Do you know what happens to these race horses when they cannot race anymore? They are sent for slaughter because race horse meat is a delicacy in European countries. And bullfight, if you happen to take a tour of Spain, you might want to tell the people we are Buddhists and we do not want to watch any bullfight. Because bullfight is extremely cruel sport. You know how cruel it is. First, they make the bull run after the cloth. And after that, when they are all done, they start piercing knives into the bull. You see how many swords, how many knives you can take before it finally dies. A slow and agonizing death. And even fishing is a very cruel hobby. So Buddhists should not fish. You wouldn't want to be that fish. So the Buddha teaches us in the Dhammapada again. One who seeks pleasure for himself by oppressing with violence other beings will not attain happiness. So the activities I just mentioned just now is purely for our amusement, isn't it? It's for our pleasure. We can do without it. And the Dalai Lama again did his part when he found out that Mongolians love to hunt. Did you know? The favorite pastime of Mongolians is hunting. It's the national pastime. So the Dalai Lama wrote a letter to the Mongolian government in 2002 appealing for all Mongolians to stop hunting. In Tibet, hunting is banned, and it has been banned for hundreds of years by every single Dalai Lama. And brothers and sisters, the animals that suffer the most in our modern day life will be those that are born and bred as food for our kingdom. This is not like the olden days, where the chickens, the cows and the goats get to run free in the field, and then once in a blue moon, one unfortunate chicken gets slaughtered for a kaluri or something like that. It's different nowadays. People eat meat, people eat so much meat at every meal that these animals are being born and bred to be slaughtered. And they live very short but very terrible and agonizing lives. I'm going to start with the animal that is eaten the most. Out of the billions of animals that are being slaughtered every day all over the world, 90% of them are chickens. Did you know that the average lifespan of a chicken is 15 years? But the ones that are born and bred for slaughter only get to live for 45 days. So if we eat chicken, we are usually eating children chicken. They are children, they are only 45 days old. So what happens to a chick when it's born in the farm? The first thing is it would have its beak cut off. It's called de-beaking. The reason is they are kept in such crowded conditions, they pack themselves, they pack each other, they are so stressed out. So human beings find the easiest way to solve this problem. Cut off the beak. It's like cutting off our mouths. Then they are force fed through a tube. They are fed, they are given growth hormones, as we know, so that the bodies swell up, they grow so fast, so unnaturally, so that within 45 days they are big enough to be slaughtered. But then their legs cannot support that growth. So they can't even stand. They drop down on the ground. So they're lying down all the time. And they're kept in such filthy conditions. The feces and urine is all over the place. Their wings rot. And their skin rots. And this is a picture of ducks being force-fed. You see the tube? The tube is inserted through down its throat, and food is just pumped down. And some of these ducks actually die due to force feeding. Ducks are being force-fed in European countries for a delicacy called foie gras. It is the swelled up liver of the duck. In order to produce that liver, ducks have to be force-fed. It's a delicacy in European countries. Pigs, natural lifespan is 15 to 20 years. But the pigs that are born and bred to be slaughtered live a very miserable life. The female pigs are artificially inseminated, so it's not natural. They are made to produce a litter, and the piglets are separated from the mother by this cage. But pigs are the most intelligent animals in the whole animal kingdom. They are very loving creatures, and the mother cries because it cannot cover its babies. So the babies are allowed to suffer for a short time, after which they are separated. Then the mother is artificially inseminated again to produce another litter. And it is so unnatural that after 8 pregnancies, she cannot produce any more. Her body is totally worn out. Then she is sent for slaughter. So that's about 3 to 4 years. And the baby pigs only get to live for about 26 weeks. The first thing that they do is to yank out the teeth with pliers. And male pigs will have their testicles pulled out by force with no anesthetic. The reason is the same. It's because they are kept in such crowded conditions, they bite each other. They are very, very stressed out. They are almost deranged, these animals. Very, very stressed out. They are kept in such crowded conditions that they don't even have space to sit down. So the entire life is spent standing. And those that are diseased or not fit for consumption will be put separately where they are not given any food and water. So they are just left to die of starvation. No food, no water, because it's not economical to feed this slapping animals. And it's the same with cows. Those that are bred for meat will have their horns pulled out. And when it's time for slaughter, the animals will be hung upside down, their throats will be slit, then as they slowly bleed to death, the limbs will be cut off piece by piece. Because humans don't waste time. So they just slit the throats, they let them bleed slowly to death, and they start cutting off the limbs piece by piece. And the animals are howling and screaming in pain. They are wriggling in pain. My parents used to have a friend who worked in the abattoir in a small town in Salamanca, and he used to describe the horrendous things that he had to do. His job was to cart the animals down every morning at 5 a.m. to be slaughtered. And he said the animals are crying. The cows actually cry. They know what is happening because they can smell the scent of blood. And they are struggling, and he has to beat them with sticks. So it's a horrible job. And after he embraced Buddhism, he actually changed jobs. He just couldn't take it anymore, so he changed jobs. That's why Master Cheng Yen says, if you want to know why there are wars in the world, just listen to the cries from the slaughterhouse at night. She is so worried that we humans slaughter animals without a qualm, that after a while we'll start slaughtering human beings as well. And that is happening, isn't it? Yeah? And also fish are not sad. I wish I could tell you that they are sad, but they are not sad. Shark skin soup is a delicacy among the Chinese. But do you know how they obtain the shark skin? Yeah, in Kota Kinabalu, I was told, they capture the shark, they cut off the fins, and they throw the shark back into the water because they don't want the other parts. So without the fins, the shark cannot swim. So when it cannot swim, it cannot breathe. So they actually die by drowning, a slow and agonizing death in the sea. And all because we want to eat shark skin soup as a delicacy. William Ralph Inch is an English author and professor. He writes in his outspoken essays, and he says, we have treated animals so badly that if they were able to formulate a religion, they will depict the devil in human form. So we are the animals, the devils. Think for a moment the cruelty that I described to you, that some humans are just so cruel, aren't we their devil? Our first precept, as taught by the Buddha, was to abstain from killing. So all of us can safely say, hey, I don't kill, that's true. But we have to look beyond that a little bit. If we eat so much meat, are we causing others to kill? That is what we have to ask ourselves. Are we causing others to kill for us? Why is it that the Buddha mentions 5 professions that Buddhists should avoid? And out of these 5, 2 of them deals with animals. 1, breeding animals for slaughter is to be avoided. 2, butchering animals is to be avoided. Buddhists should not engage in these professions. It's very clear, it's mentioned by the Buddha. So if these professions are to be avoided, why are we supporting this kind of industry? That is the question we have to ask ourselves. Why are we forcing other people to do this for us? And some people argue that the Buddha actually allowed the monks to eat pure meat. And that's true. It's in the scriptures. But what is pure meat? Pure meat has to satisfy 3 conditions. Number 1, you do not see the animal being killed. Number 2, you did not hear the animal being killed. The meat that you buy from the supermarket satisfies the first 2 conditions. You don't see the animal being killed. You don't hear the animal being killed. But the 3rd condition is you do not suspect that the animal has been killed for you. Can we honestly say that we do not suspect the animal has been killed for us? Why is the meat there? Why are they selling it? Because we create the demand, right? Just imagine for a moment if 50% of the population were vegetarian. Would they need to slaughter so many animals? The amount of slaughtering can be reduced if we reduce our consumption. Right? So the only pure meat, as I see it, would be animals which have died naturally, or the carcasses you see on the road. Yeah? The animals that have been accidentally run down by cars, that's pure meat. Because it satisfies the 3 conditions. So the killing will not stop until the buying stops. But the killing can be reduced if the buying is reduced. So all I'm sharing with you now is we can reduce. And every little bit makes a difference. It really does. If everyone does their part, it makes a difference. Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh tells us in just 2 simple words. He tells us to eat mindfully. That's all. Eat mindfully. Be very mindful where your food comes from. Be very mindful if any being has suffered in the preparation of the food. So it's coming to lunchtime. Where would you like your next meal to come from? Would you like it to come from this torture chamber? Or why not opt for a healthier alternative? Yeah? With the money that you save from buying meat, try it. You save so much money if you cut down on your meat consumption. Then